Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. I'm Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I own Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. The purpose of this podcast is to talk about what the scientific principles really state regarding health and fitness so we can get to the real deal and ignore the rest. Hence the name, Method to the Madness. Let me thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lyn Gildon of the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 270 five-star reviews on Zillow, and they are consummate professionals. They have residential and commercial real estate agents to help you, and they are definitely number one in my book. And if you look at Realty Pros, they're actually number one in Volusia County. That's pretty good. I will put all of their information in the show notes. All right, so you know what? In the words of the famous Dean Wormer, fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, right? And if you know the rest of the scene, I think it was Bluto who then threw up all over Dean Wormer after he said that. So this is obviously, or maybe not so obviously, I think it's pretty obvious for anybody that's a Gen Xer or Boomer that this is an Animal House reference and one of the most famous lines in comedic history. And, I said it to somebody who is 32, and he did not know what movie it was from, but he knew the line. So it's a pretty famous line. And you know what? Just like the other day with that teaser about how to get better in bed, this podcast doesn't really have anything to do with that. And you know what the number one reason why is? Because I don't want anybody to really think that I'm going to sit here and be disparaging to people who are struggling to lose weight of any kind, because, that would be pretty dumb on my part and not empathetic, and that's just not how I feel. I did it because it's an extremely funny line, and you know what I'm really going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about professionalism and credentials in the health and fitness world, and I have a feeling that if I made that the title, I may get 5 downloads. Although I think it is incredibly important, and I'm going to sell you on why. But first, I do want to make sure that you understand that fat, drunk, and stupid is a total joke. If you read either of my books, There Is a Method to the Madness and You Can't Outrun a Poor Diet, or if you've trained with me or know me at all, you know that I went through an overweight stage when I was in junior high school and the early part of high school. When I went to school in New Smyrna, it was junior high. It was not middle school yet. And you know what? Those years absolutely suck to go through any sort of a weight issue. I had my dad die when I was 12 years old. My grandparents died a little bit after him. My only grandparents I knew. It was not the best of times for me. And I did what a lot of people do. I went to something to make myself feel better. And in my case, that was food and Pepsi and Coca-Cola. I simply didn't know better. Like, I really didn't know how to eat. Although my mom was pretty much a health nut her whole life, she definitely modeled good behavior. But I overate and I got chubby, and it didn't feel good. I went from a skinny kid to a chubby kid. I was ostracized. And most of that, I don't blame other kids per se. We all know kids at that age can be mean, but I really don't blame them completely, because I think when we are not feeling good about ourselves, we also really push people away. And I didn't have any confidence. So the bottom line is it just wasn't good times. And it wasn't good times mostly because I let myself gain weight. I mean, I was never obese, but I was big enough to be called fat. And that doesn't feel good at all. But you know what? I'm not trying to get into a sob story here at all. If you know me, you know that I am so grateful for those times, because I'm 100% certain that it sparked a beautiful career that I'm very proud of, that I love, and I feel like I make a difference in the world, a difference in community, because I do have empathy and compassion towards anybody that's put on weight. That doesn't mean that I don't think there's work to be done by anybody. Like, I know it's very, very hard. And I also know that the best way to lose weight is through tough love and motivation. It has to come from within, but the trainer does have to have tough love. So I'm not trying to say, we're all just victims of this. I don't believe that at all. I think a lot of us make choices in any direction that can be addictive, whether it be food, alcohol, and drugs. And the drunk part, of course, was also a joke too, having a lot of alcoholism in my family and working as an alcoholic counselor in the 1990s. A lot of empathy there too. All these things are out there. And what I hope is that through teaching scientific principles in health and fitness, that I'm able to inspire and motivate people to want to change, because the desire has to be there. It has to be there. And then the leaders have to be there exhibiting tough love, meaning, sure, I still care about you. Sure, I still love you, but you do have to change if you want to get positive reinforcement. So that's my little spiel on that. Now let me talk a little bit about the credentials, because I do believe one of the problems in the health and fitness crisis that we're having, and I'm going to repeat it again, 60 to 70% of the United States is either overweight or obese, and the literature is clearly showing that that is the number one cause of cardiac disease and some cancers. So obesity is leading to all kinds of health problems, which we know. All right. So it is a problem. And I think the problem is threefold. I think one of the problems we can't do anything about, and that's good old American capitalism. There are people out there to make money. That is their job. In reality, we all need to make a living to survive. So we're all doing what we need to do on that. And people in the food industry have hired the best marketing people out there to sell products to you. They're not really doing anything wrong either. I mean, unless somebody's selling something that they purposely know is harmful. But I don't really know that that goes on. I think that people are aware certain foods are worse than others, but I don't think anybody is really trying to kill you with the food that they make. Although some of this food, if you eat enough of it over and over, certainly can, because it can make you morbidly obese. So we can't do anything about good old capitalism. There's going to be people out there that have been trained to use their best marketing ploys to get you to buy the foods. I mean, anything from putting all of those non-healthy, easy snacks right by the register. So on your way out, you're going to buy them. I think of Target, I think of Publix, and both of them have the Coca-Cola cooler displays right in front of the registers, right? I mean, now that Target has the self-checkouts redone here in Port Orange, there's a whole line of candy bars and stuff that you must go through to get to the register. Same at Publix, same as anywhere. I mean, I don't have anything against any of these stores. My daughter works at Publix. I actually think it's a great company, so please don't think that I'm blaming stores. They're doing what they need to do to survive, which is exactly what you and I would do to survive. If we worked at Publix and we were responsible for that store and we're the store manager, we're going to do everything humanly possible to up sales within the store so our store can do well, and then we get a raise, and then we can give all of our employees raises. So look, we can't blame anybody, okay? So that's the first problem, and that is simply bad foods are easy to get. They're easily accessible. And that's just the way it is. We can't do anything about it. The second thing is not everybody is 100% motivated to improve their health and fitness. So that is a problem, and I think that is a big problem. I do think that people think that, well, it's not that big of a deal. I can do this and this, and they're not overly motivated. And then maybe they hit midlife and they have type 2 diabetes because they've been eating poorly, eating a lot of sugar, eating a lot of fat, not exercising, and that is the number one risk factor for type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is a major risk factor for cardiac disease. So then they get there and it's time to do something, and it's a lot harder to do something at that point, although not impossible. So that's just the second problem, is how do we get people to understand, let's take responsibility for our health and fitness as early as we can. But that's neither here nor there as far as what I can do either, other than be the best professional that I can be. And that is the third problem that I really want to finish this podcast with. We have a credentialing problem in the health and fitness industry. We have a big time credentialing problem. And this has been going on for a long time. And I've been trying to change this for a long time. For about 10 years of my career, I continued to own my gym, of course, but I also worked as a director at a college for sports medicine, teaching young people how to become trainers. And I was also teaching some of the workshops for the American College of Sports Medicine. And I've been preaching this for a very long time. We need more true professionals in this industry. Now, Florida, in which I reside, is currently one of the states that does not have licensing in health and fitness. We're not alone. 43 other states don't either. There are only 7 states that have licensing to be a certified personal trainer or an exercise professional. 7 states in the United States. That is it. So basically, you have to have a license to be a nail tech, right? I'm not demeaning any careers. You have to have a license to be a nail tech, I repeat. But you don't have to have a license to help people with their health and fitness with one of the major health problems in the United States, which is obesity. And you don't have to have jack to do that. And I think that's a major problem. All right. So why are we all walking around fat, drunk, and stupid? I had to throw that back in there because you might be starting to fall asleep. One of the problems is you can go on Instagram and there's going to be somebody who, if it's a female, she's going to be beautiful. Her hair's going to be done up. She's going to be filtered out the yin yang. And she's going to be showing exercises that look so damn hard that only an acrobatic, a gymnast, or, a CrossFit professional could do them. And ladies and gentlemen, that is not the way to health and fitness. That's cool. Oh, one of the things that really gets me now? So you probably are wondering, Rob, you complain a lot about this on your podcast, right? That's true. I mean, it gets my goat, man. I mean, and I think any of you, like say my sponsors, the Gildons, who are phenomenal real estate agents, I'm sure knowing Jonathan like I do, he's very passionate and he cares, would go ballistic if any old ham and egger without any experience whatsoever made real estate agent cards and started putting them at a 7-Eleven or something, Oh, I can sell you this house. I mean, but that's what happens in my industry. I mean, it's insane. Or our other sponsors, Overhead Door Company, these are trained professionals. What if some guy just puts up shop and says, well, I'm going to go ahead and be better than them. Well, why do you think that? Well, because I have a garage door and I have an opener. So I'm a professional. I mean, That's pretty much what I'm seeing on all these, Instagram and social media things. I'm seeing people that are, because they work out, they think they're professionals. So, I digressed a little bit. Getting back to what really gets my goat. One of the latest things that's this craze is it's almost like dance routines. And now they're showing these people lining up in like duos, doing these like push-ups to music. And it basically looks like a dance routine. And of course, now in this case, they're really jacked dudes and they're wearing tank tops and they're incredibly ripped and they're doing these really cool push-ups and all this. And now that seems to be the trend. And like, whatever. I mean, that just gets people's attention and all that. So I guess that's not that bad. It's not like they're saying you have to exercise this way to get results. But the ones that do say that, that's a problem. And I have a problem with that. All right. I say it all the time. You can't ask the racehorse how it got fast, right? The racehorse has a trainer that knows what it's doing. So much of fitness results come down to genetics. I'm working on my third book on strength training. I just worked on that chapter today, all about genetics. First, please understand this. Everybody can get better. I listed over 30 benefits of strength training. Everyone, even if you have the crappiest genetics in this regard known to man, anybody can get better. But how much better is largely due to genetics. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1970s and 80s Olympia, right? 7 titles, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. If you don't have the genetics to be a bodybuilder, you will never look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I don't care how much you work out or what you take or what you eat. It's not going to happen. There are genetics that determine how big we get, how strong we get, how fast we get, how lean we get, how good looking we get, what our dimensions are going to be. There's genetic factors. All right. Everybody can maximize them. Everybody can maximize them. But not everybody can reach elite status with anything, whether it be leanness, muscular size, muscular strength, power. So when you see these beauty queens or stud kings working out, and then they tell you afterwards, just do this or follow my plan, you are asking the racehorse how it got fast. Not always. There are some of these guys and gals that have the right credentials, but most of them do not. And that's very simple. Just go to their bio if you're looking at them on social media and see what their credentials are. And if they have them, trust me, they're going to list them. I have them. I list mine. They're going to list them if they have them, if they're smart. And of course, well, if they don't have them, then there you go. There's your answer to that. But they should not be telling people how to get fit. They don't know. They probably had great genetics. And look, I'm not saying I don't. I've been blessed with good genetics in that regard. And I tell people that all the time. That doesn't mean that I don't work my butt off, because I do. I'm very disciplined and I love to work out and I push myself and I do something every day. Like, I never take advantage of the genetics that I've been blessed with. So I know that I have them and I'm very grateful for that. But I make sure that I state, yes, I have pretty good genetics, not phenomenal. I mean, like I said, there's Schwarzenegger genetics and then there's good genetics, right? I have good genetics. I'm happy with that as far as all of this health and fitness stuff goes. All right. So, but I work really, really hard with it as well. So when you see these people telling you how to exercise and they're telling you to do all these complicated things, and typically it's click on this and buy my meal plans, click on this and buy my supplements, click on this and buy my workout plans. They're just trying to sell you something, or they're influencers working for a company trying to sell you something, or they just have really bad attention needs and need 1,000,001 likes. And I do know a lot of people like that, but that does not make them qualified to be an exercise professional. So remember the three things why we're having so many issues, right? I'm going to repeat them again. Good old capitalism. Can't do anything about it. Not everybody's motivated. I can't do anything about it. But third, in my fitness industry, we need more people stepping up, forcing other people to step up somehow, some way, which means we should be pushing for licensure. Look, I get it. I used to teach this stuff, so I know the pros and cons of licensure. I know that. Once you get licensed, there's things that you're being told what to do and can't do and all that. I've got no problem with that, though. I really, really don't. I want everybody in the fitness industry to be on the same page. And guess what? If somebody has a degree in health and fitness, so they've studied the science of the body somehow, some way, and then they're certified through the American College of Sports Medicine, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, the American Council on Exercise, or the National Academy of Sports Medicine, those are the only 4 accredited certifications. If they're certified through that, they're accredited. Those 4 are accredited. What that means is they've been watched over and told we all have to be consistent with this message. That's very important. So if they are, then we are all giving the consistent message. I have students that I trained that are now working as personal trainers in other places. And when I mean train, they went to college, they got a degree, and then they got their ACSM certification. And when I watch them online, I notice they're giving out the nice, consistent health and fitness message that we know. Like there's a consistency to it. There's an exercise science. And if you've been trained and certified through the right organizations, you are giving the specific information. All right. So take, for example, you're not going to have any ACSM or NSCA and exercise science degreed individual walking around saying, hey, follow my keto diet because this is the way for fat loss. You're not going to see that. You're going to see the trained professionals going, well, it all comes back to calories and we need to monitor our calorie input versus our caloric expenditure and all of that good stuff. Why? Because that's what is taught in science. So you're not going to see these trends and these fads. You're not going to see them working for companies trying to sell you stuff to get the fat off of you when they know that's not the way. So we need to have more of a central, some sort of certification base at the very least in the gyms, at least stating you have to have these kind of certifications. Look, when I look around, most gyms do not at all. And they're just pushing these poor programs out there on people. And then people are not getting results or they're getting hurt. And then they're quitting their exercise routine because they're being sold a bill of goods. Like if they're sold, you have to do this, this, and this. If you come and work out with me, for example, I'm just Joe Blow trainer and I don't have any, certifications or degrees or anything. A lot of them are going to say, you're going to have to work out with me 5 days a week to get results. And then people are looking at that going, I don't have time for 5 days a week, so I guess I can't go at all. And they're just being sold a bill of goods, and it's just not true. So we need to clean this up somehow, some way. On my end, I just continue to fight. I continue to send emails, letters, and through my organizations like the ACSM and NSCA and all that to try to get for more accredited licensing across the state of Florida. I'm sorry, but no, in this state, probably not going to happen for a really, really long time. But I just want you to understand how important that is. I just want you to remember again, because I keep saying this because this is said to me when I go to these workshops on this stuff. They say, just think about this. You need to have a license to be a nail tech, but not to work on somebody's health and fitness, right? So you don't need to be licensed to take somebody's blood pressure at a gym, right? Which is an excellent thing to do. I think it's a great idea. And no, it's not a hard task to do. I'm not saying it's hard. It's very easy to learn how to do a blood pressure. But wouldn't you rather have somebody that was licensed to not only take the blood pressure, but understand what it freaking means and really be able to talk to you about those numbers? Or just, take your blood pressure and look at you and go, oh, that looks kind of high today. Or, oh man, that's weird. That's kind of low. And then you, the patient or client, goes, well, I'm on beta blockers. Person goes, oh yeah? Well, I take Tic Tacs. I mean, I'm kind of being goofy here, but like most of these trainers don't have a freaking clue what are the contraindications with medications and all these other things. And I think that's a big problem. You want to go and be with somebody, put your trust in somebody who knows what they're freaking doing. And I'm just blown away that we still don't have that here. We are getting a little bit better with more certified trainers around, I've noticed, but it doesn't seem to be that consistent across the board, all right? Especially in our area of Volusia County, all right? So I'll close with just saying, get out your pencil, all right? I know most of you who are listening to this, a lot of you train with me, a lot of you have friends that train with me, so it's not an issue because me and all of my trainers have a degree and accredited certification, right? I'm big on the ACSM. I think they're great. They're very medically based. I just think they're good. I like the NSCA for strength as well, but I think the ACSM is the best. And guess what? It has a 39% pass rate. That's pretty damn hard, right? 39%. That's not great. That means it's challenging and it's not one of these BS certifications that anybody can take online and pass. No. You have to go to a testing site and get tested and make sure you have no notes and all this kind of stuff. So it's a very legit certification. So, but whatever, if you're online, if you're checking out somebody's workouts, first, see if they have a degree. Do they have a degree in health? Do they have a degree in exercise science? Do they have a degree in sports science? Do they have a degree in kinesiology? Do they have a degree in biology? I'm good with that. And then see if they have one of the accredited certifications. The NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association. The ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine. ACE, American Council on Exercise. Or NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine. If they have any of that, trust more of what they have to say. If they don't, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. That's what I do. All right. Speaking of scrolling, all right, there is no better garage door company, I would say, in the country, right, than Overhead Garage Door. And I know our local group is by far the best because I know Jeff and Zach Hawk. And I can remember very early on when I was a youngster, had one of my very first gyms, and I was training Jeff. And we wanted a new garage door in my other house, probably maybe 3 houses ago. And, I knew they were the best. So I said, hey, I want to, get a garage door. So he set me up with one of his guys. And I remember when the garage door was being put on and all that stuff, who shows up? Jeff himself. And he's already the big boss at this point. But he shows up, he wanted it done right, and he went over all that with me. And then not that long ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I bought a house about 4 or 5 years ago. It does not have an overhead door garage on it, which is probably why it's so freaking loud and it sounds like the shuttle going off when I open and lower my garage door. So I was telling Zach about that, who's the other owner, the son of Overhead Door. And, he says, hey, man, I'll stop by before my workout. So he comes by, he brings all this lube and he makes it better. And he spent like 20, 30 minutes with me. And I don't even have an overhead door. I mean, these guys are fantastic. And if you know anything about anything these days, we all know that it's all about customer service. So there you go. I will put all of their information in the show notes. Until next time, be Max Fit and be Max